So for the vast majority of the patient population, there is currently no solution. And that's exactly
Wow.
what we bring. We developed a device that enables to mimic the surgical procedure, the outcome, only completely incision-free. And it's going to be disruptive, we believe, in this field because being incision-free, it will allow to shift the point of care from the hospital, from the operating room to the doctor's office. So basically, you would go like for a dental procedure in the doctor's office and have the prolapse repair. And this is something that is not available today.
Welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Just sit back, relax, and learn from the leaders of today. It's a journey. Each one is different, unique, inspiring. Let's get started. This episode is powered by J Ventures, a community-driven VC fund in Silicon Valley, in partnership with Lomitech, and sponsored by Homeward Ventures, Hippo Insurance, Upwest, Hillel at Stanford, Leap, and Birthright Excel. Welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Meet Idit Goldberg, the CEO of Escala Medical. Over 20 years of medical device industry experience in development, marketing, and senior management positions. She has diverse background in all stages of product development of medical devices concept to commercialization. She's a trained dentist, and she practiced dentistry for a few years before joining the industry. And in a few months, she'll have 3 kids serving in the army at the same time.
Idit Goldberg, welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for allowing me to have you on the show. I'm excited to talk to you in these next 20 minutes about your life, your journey, your career, your impact with Escala Medical, really interesting problems that you're helping solve. I think the fact that I never heard of some of these problems may be one of the pain points that we need to talk about as well. But nevertheless, fascinating topics. And so, Idit, tell me a little bit about yourself, about your background before we dive deep into Escala Medical.
Right. It's not a wonder to me that you haven't heard about this condition because you're a young man and this is a condition affecting women of maybe older age or at least 40 older. So I'm glad
I would have liked to know about it.
Absolutely, because it affects 50% of women all over the world. So I guess,
wow.
It's really highly prevalent. But to your question, I have kind of a diverse background. I actually studied at a technical high school with focus on mathematics, physics, electronics, which led me, by the way, to be an electronic instructor in the army. But I was fascinated by medicine from a young age. So because I'm a very technical person, I figured that, and I like working with my hands, I figured that probably dentistry would be more appropriate for me because I didn't want to have the lifestyle of young doctors. So I practiced dentistry for a while and I enjoyed it. As a dentist, I had my own clinic. I worked in public clinics as well until I realized it was way too boring for me. So I did an MBA and moved to the industry. And
interesting. How long were you a dentist for?
3 or 4 years, something like that.
Wow.
That was enough to
realize. But you also have to study a lot to be a dentist,
That's
right?
That's true. But I don't regret it because it really helped me in my next career. So
was it hard? Because you pretty much practiced for as long, even shorter than what most people study for dentistry. Was there a part of you that made it difficult to decide to switch and to make the transition because of sort of the opportunity cost, saying, oh, well, I studied so much, maybe I should go on for longer?
Well, in order to focus on a specific field in dentistry, like you would do in medicine, then you need to study even longer. And this is when I did the decision that actually it's probably the type of I think dentistry is a beautiful profession, it's just not for me. That's not the kind of lifestyle that I want. I'm much more interested in business, and I really got bored. And I understand that if I do things even more specific, in a specific field, then I would become even more bored, and I would not be able to pull it for much longer. So I took a hard decision. I had my family backing me up on this, which was important. And I think it was, for me, it was definitely the right decision. I don't regret it. And the years that I spent in dental school and all the background only assisted me later on in my career. So can't say that I
love
regret
it.
it.
MBA, getting into the industry. What is the goal? Where are you headed at that point?
Right. So I started as a project manager for a surgical sealant platform in actually a private medium-sized company that several years later became a public company traded on NASDAQ, and eventually in 2009 was acquired by Ethicon. So, starting for a relatively medium-sized private company that then underwent IPO, it was traded in NASDAQ and then acquired by a huge company like Ethicon, and basically was a great school for me. So it gave me the perspective of all the stages of a medical device company, or actually it was a biopharmaceutical company. And actually, I got the experience in the different stages, which later on, when I served as, I moved to another startup company in the fields of biosurgicals. And later on, before joining Escala, actually, I was the VP of New Ventures, responsible for the deal flow at Trendlines Medical. So this was actually the first exposure to innovation.
Wow.
And where I fell in love actually with innovation, because in this position I got to review, I think I screened close to 1,000 projects at different stages, early stages, most of them, some of them just sketch on the paper. And this eventually led to the start of 11 companies. One of them was Escala. So it's a really great
11
process.
companies.
Yes.
What is the connecting dots among these companies? So if you're looking at your, entrepreneurial executive, career, what is sort of the connecting line that brings together all the things that you've done?
The entrepreneurs need to be crazy enough to believe in their idea and be willing to invest the time and the resources and be completely focused on what they do. I mean, I think that the most evident point in connecting those successful companies is the fact that the team is great. Is when you decide if you want to invest in a venture, I think the most important factor is the people, because technology starts from one point, and then after a couple of years it gets to another point. But you need the management and you need the people to be able to overcome, hurdles on the way or problems that are always there. And if the appropriate team is not there, it will never happen. So when we looked at opportunity, there are several factors. It definitely fits anything innovative that brings something new. If the market size is large enough, it's what are the successful odds of the technology, but definitely the most important factor is the people.
Amazing. Going back to Escala Medical, walk me through, the how you get to this pain point, how you strategically think through, what you need to be doing as an entrepreneur to solve it, and then take me through your thought process on how are you actually going to grow this and scale this with a potential market of 50% of women, which is crazy.
Right. So let me start by describing maybe what pelvic organ prolapse is.
That will be helpful.
As mentioned, it's a condition that affects 1 in 3 women all over the world, and even moreover, 50% of the women that have kids actually will develop prolapse in some time of their life. And currently, the symptoms range between, in the milder cases, just a sense of a bulge or a sense of a kind of a dragging feeling associated with pain. And in the more severe condition, it can be involved with the urine and bowel incontinence. So it's a huge impact on the quality of life. And many of those women suffering from it at earlier stages are actually embarrassed, or they are still not aware of the condition. They see it as a natural phase in the aging, which is untrue. It can be treated. So many of those women actually either compromise on their quality of life or wait until their stage deteriorates, their condition deteriorates to a stage requiring surgery. Now, what we have, and the treatment alternatives are limited. On one side, they are either just supportive devices that do not repair, they're just the first line of treatment. They are highly inconvenient and the compliance for the use is really low. And these are 90% of the women, of the patient population. And on the other side, there is surgery that is offered only in the severe cases, only about for 10% of the women. But those are associated with complications because it's surgery. So many women are actually reluctant to undergo surgery. So for the vast majority of the patient population, there is currently no solution. And that's exactly what we bring. We developed a device that enables to mimic the surgical procedure, the outcome, only completely incision-free. And it's going to be disruptive, we believe, in this field because being incision-free, it will allow to shift the point of care from the hospital, from the operating room to the doctor's office. So basically, you would go like for a dental procedure in the doctor's office and have the prolapse repair. And this is something that is not available today.
Wow. As you're thinking through, how do you explain the fact that others haven't really dug into this pain point before? Is it because of domain expertise barrier? Is it because people just didn't think that there's innovation to be done here, or people didn't care enough? How do you explain this?
Well, there are similar devices, but all of them require incisions. And the fact that doctors have thought about how to solve this or how to basically find a solution that can avoid surgery or at least delay the surgery. So there are other alternatives that are similar, but requiring incisions, none of them can be performed in the doctor's office. Our founders, which are two American surgeons, highly experienced American surgeons, a urologist from New York, a urogynecologist from Chicago, they perform this type of procedures daily. So it was quite obvious to them that we need to develop something that will improve the lives of many, many women. And we did.
What are, some non-trivial challenges that you observe in a journey like this that I, as a young entrepreneur, may not even be aware of as I'm thinking about Escala Medical and the different challenges that come with it?
So it actually goes into two directions. You can develop a device and you would think it's perfect because you've tested it in so many preclinical models in animals and even in cadavers and in a dozen of bench models. And it works perfectly, but you can never know until you test it in the actual setting that needs to perform. It's the human body.
Right.
So, recently we completed enrollment of 17 patients to our clinical study. And it's amazing to see a technology that you've worked for so many years that actually performs and meets your expectations. It worked really beautiful. It takes like 5 minutes to complete a procedure compared to a surgery. We didn't see any things to report or major complications or at all at this point. So this is very, very encouraging. And on the other side, on the business side, there are challenges related to fundraising. In women's health, in femtech in general, there was actually a nice rise the past year in 2021. I think that over $1 billion were invested in femtech. But typically, this is a field that did not get much focus from investors. Specifically, also conditions that are related to the older age. Women giving birth and younger age, these get some focus and some attention. But I think it's improving. Right. So with time, it's improving.
Take me 30,000 feet in the air. And we're looking at the different companies that you're a part of and the different problems that you're helping solve. How are you deciding? how do you decide, what you're going to be working on, what requires your attention, what is most urgent for ED to be working on right now, and what could be most successful? So what does that thought process look like for you?
So, at some point, you are looking for fields that are interesting to you. I mean, I can identify some fields that for me are more interesting than others generally in the field of medical device, if I want to point some companies out. But mainly, I think what I would look at this stage is really a technology or an innovation that would make an impact. I mean, that would really be meaningful both to the users, who are the doctors, and the patients. And I wish I could have shown you the emails that I get from women all over the world. They're looking for solutions. So they find our company on the internet, and they just send me emails where I can undergo the procedure with a device. So this gives a very good feeling that we are actually changing something. And it's true for other, for my next step or for other companies that I review. I mean, if the company really has an impact on different population, it's really important.
Wow. Indeed, go back before dentistry, middle school, elementary school. Where did you grow up in Israel?
I grew up in Herzliya.
In Herzliya. What really, sparks your curiosity? Where's your fascination lie as a kid, as you roam the world, at 10 years old?
I think, first of all, I danced for many years. When I realized that I would probably not become a professional dancer, then was the time I decided to go study medicine, I think. No, I'm just kidding. But I danced for many years. I liked school. Actually, if you would ask me what was my favorite subject, I would say physics. I still love it.
Wow.
I think it's understanding how the world works. So it was really, I'm kind of an analytical person more. So I really like this part at school. But I did, I was a very active kid. I'm still doing sports every time I can. I mean, every free minute I have. So.
The decision to go into the medical world in general, what was the trigger for that for you?
You're breaking out, I'm sorry.
The decision to go into the medical world, what was that, what triggered that decision for you? Was it obvious for a long time that you're going to go into medicine, whether it's dentistry or anything else? What was sort of the motivation there?
Just pure interest. No, it wasn't, I wasn't convinced until I think, couple of years just before signing up for the university that, law school was an alternative as well. So I could find myself in a completely different field, but I think that at least, it's not easy getting accepted to med school here in Israel.
Right.
So once I did, it was quite clear that I would go to start medicine, but it wasn't only for that. I was, again, as I mentioned, I was fascinated by medicine from a very young age, and it was definitely a clear direction for me then. The only decision I had to make, which I don't know if this could have changed, by the way, my career, is whether to continue to become a doctor or a dentist. And I made the decision to become a dentist, which eventually made me quit dentistry. And I become a doctor. It may have been different, but I really don't know.
I love it. Every day that you wake up today, where's the inspiration coming from to continue working so hard and continue doing the amazing things that you're doing? But besides just the impact on the end users at the end, that the lives that you're helping improve, where do you gather inspiration in your day to day?
So first of all, I believe in what I do. I believe we'll be successful. I believe will bring something important to many women in the world. And I understand that not everything comes easy. Hardly success stories are easy to achieve. And besides, I really think that if you want to achieve a goal, it requires, I think, at least roughly 10% of talent and 90% of hard work. So when there's a will, there's a way, and this is what, when the little successes on the way, the successful clinical study, the fact that we hope to get FDA clearance very shortly, good feedback that we get from users and customers, it's encouraging. All those steps along the way. I can't say that you don't have breaking points in between, that what's going to be, or, especially when you need to get into a next financing round. It's not easy, it's challenging. But I think the goal and the end of the road we want to be is very clear. So
I love it. If I were to ask you for a few words that we'd use to describe yourself, or what other people may use to describe you, what would those be?
Good one or bad ones? I'm just kidding. I think I'm target oriented. I think I can say that. I'm quite spontaneous as well. I mean, I'm not. I can decide tomorrow that another field interests me, then I'll go search it. And I'm a bit perfectionist. I mean, if I don't get something right, then it will take me time to get it, but I think it will be difficult for me to give up. So
amazing. Edith, I really want to thank you both for this conversation, but for all the amazing work that you're doing and the inspiration that comes with it, and obviously the impact on everybody else. So best of luck with Escala Medical, with all the other initiatives, and for this time, and stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michael. Bye-bye.